This episode is sponsored by Robin Carter, who reminds us, please give blood. It helps in treatments of so many illnesses. scottblood.co.uk. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 161, The Anxiety Antidote, Reclaiming Freelancer Sanity. No amount of anxiety makes any difference to anything that's going to happen. Alan Watts, unquote. So in the previous 4 shows, I have been going through Price Pritchett's amazing book, U Squared. And if you haven't heard them yet, I urge you to go back and listen to these shows and discover for yourself the transformative strategies and insights that will empower you to achieve exponential growth in your personal and professional life. And in those 4 episodes, I literally do read every single part of the book. I thought it was that important to bring to people that I split it up over 4 episodes. But today's show was nearly a completely different episode, incidentally, but due to me moving off of Dropbox and my system not really being fully transferred to Google Drive due to data reasons, I actually lost the episode that I'd prepped for today. So you might have been expecting a different one. In the meantime, though, I had written up this one as I felt it was an important topic to revisit. But have no fear, though, as I have found my notes again, and that show, 3 Productivity Laws You Need to Know, will head up season 14 when that comes around, and that'll be in about 12 weeks' time. Today, though, this is episode 161, The Anxiety Antidote, Reclaiming Freelancer Sanity. Do you feel the freelance fear? Are you constantly worried about where your next job will come from? Do you feel the pressure mounting as you navigate the competitive and often unpredictable world of freelancing? If you're nodding along, then it's time to address the freelance fear that keeps many creative professionals awake at night. Let's dive into how you can reclaim your sanity and thrive in your freelance career. The best use of imagination is creativity. The worst use of imagination is anxiety. Deepak Chopra, unquote. The unseen battles of a freelancer. There are many factors that influence our stress and anxiety levels, and today I'm going to focus on just 3 of them. Stability, or the lack of it, aggressive competition, and finally, the isolation. In the life of a freelancer, especially in the creative field, stability often feels like a distant dream. We're constantly on the hunt for the next project and the next opportunity. And this relentless pursuit can be exhausting, not knowing when or from where our next paycheck will come. I think it's fair to say that many creative freelancers experience fluctuations in their earnings due to the project-based nature of our work. And this can lead to financial instability and difficulty in planning the future. And compounding this instability these days is the fierce competition. It's not just about being good at what you do, it's about outshining savvy competitors who might not always play fair. Dealing with aggressive tactics or even manipulation by others in the same field can leave you feeling vulnerable and undervalued. Aggressive competition increases pressure for you to perform, possibly leading to anxiety about meeting client expectations. Fear of losing clients to competitors can create anxiety around maintaining a steady workflow and income. Constant self-promotion in a competitive market can cause anxiety surrounding personal branding and marketing efforts. Fierce competition can trigger imposter syndrome, resulting in feelings of inadequacy and anxiety about professional worth. Trying to stay competitive by taking on too many projects can lead to burnout-related anxiety and stress. And then there's the isolation, a significant yet often overlooked aspect of freelancing. Long hours spent alone without the camaraderie of co-workers or the buzz of a busy office can lead to a sense of disconnect. And this isolation is compounded by the uncertainty that shadows every aspect of freelance life, making it difficult to see a clear path forward. And 3 ways in which this can manifest itself are as follows. 1. Isolation limits collaboration and feedback, causing anxiety about work quality and professional growth. 2, emotional loneliness from lack of social interaction contributes to anxiety and stress. And 3, difficulty separating work and personal life due to isolation increases anxiety and stress. And each of these factors feeds into a cycle of stress and anxiety, which can feel overwhelming without the right tools and strategies to manage them. When stress takes the wheel. What's the world's greatest lie? It's this, that at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives become controlled by fate. Paulo Coelho, unquote. When stress becomes a constant companion to us, its effects can be far-reaching and devastating. And as freelancers, when we're gripped by anxiety and worry, our mental and physical health often takes the first hit. Sleepless nights, a constant state of tension, and an inability to disconnect from work concerns are just the tip of the iceberg. This ongoing stress doesn't just wear us down physically, it also stifles our creativity, a crucial asset in everything that we do. It becomes harder to think outside of the box or produce innovative work when your mind is clouded with worry about job security or your next paycheck. The very skills that define our careers suffer, leading to decreased productivity and even more anxiety about meeting client expectations. And all of these worries, you may be trying to come up with strategies to deal with them. You might be feeling, I need to work harder to get the next job. You might drop what you're doing and not plan for the next creative endeavour of your own because you're focused down, and this happens to be quite a lot, focused down on just stabilising your income. All of these stresses force you into a position where you become very defensive and reactive to what is going on around about you. And when you're in that state, your own projects, the stuff you love to do, will suffer. And worst of all, this cycle can lead to burnout. That's when the motivation that once drove us turns into a sense of defeat and exhaustion, making it feel impossible to continue. Recognising how deeply stress can affect us is the first step towards finding a solution that not only alleviates these pressures, but also revitalises our passion for our work. Turning the tide. A freelancer's journey to peace. I'm recording this episode, as I often do, as dealing with the freelancer fear of not getting the next job, of having to constantly promote, of being overwhelmed and of feeling very much on my own and not knowing what to do next is a constant companion of mine. Don't get me wrong, I'm fairly stoic about it all and I can generally deal with it, but all too often I find myself at an impasse. Locked in a spiral of indecision driven by the loneliness of being now the only experienced fight director in Scotland. Previously, I would often talk with a competitor of mine and a friend, David Goodall, and we were usually able to tackle whatever the next nightmare situation was that came up. Sadly, though, David passed away recently, and I miss him dearly. I find myself standing alone now, with no real interest in engaging with me from Equity UK or by the stunt pros from down south who really would love it, I'm certain, if the ground swallowed up and swallowed me. You know, I'm standing here with competitors left, right and centre. I'm in my office every day trying to drive things forward and somehow finding time to do a podcast that brings me in zero money as well. But this is actually a good thing for me. I like doing this stuff. But what I'm saying is, freelancing is tough. There's no blueprint for life or for our working lives, but there are solutions for our problems. There is an anxiety antidote. It's not a magic pill or a one-time fix, but a series of actionable strategies that can transform your approach to work and life. You can start by setting clearer boundaries between work and personal time, ensuring you have moments truly disconnected from work pressures. Generally speaking, I don't work at weekends, and more these days I take my evenings off. I fill these gaps with other things though, things that interest me but that aren't associated with my work. I also try and schedule in regular check-ins with fellow freelancers, which helps reduce the feeling of isolation. I'll check in with a friend when I can, and I'll try and catch up with, for example, Ryan Hendrick to walk our dogs together. I've also adopted mindfulness techniques and regular physical activity into my routine, which significantly improves both my mental clarity and my physical health. These changes don't just help me with stress, they enhance my creativity, making the work more enjoyable and innovative. I always find that a day where I can get a swim in the morning, for example, or one where I go to the gym before heading into the office is a far more productive one than when I don't. And I have noticed the profound impact that these strategies have had on my mental health, and that's why I'm doing this episode. And it's clear they could help other freelancers, so that's why I'm talking to you here today. I've compiled these practices into a comprehensive, I'll call it a toolkit, designed for freelancers like yourself who are ready to tackle the challenges of freelance life head on. This isn't just about coping, it's about thriving. These strategies arm you with practical tools and resources to manage stress effectively, boost your creativity, and connect with a supportive community of fellow freelancers. Sooner or later, those who win are those who think they can. Paul Tournier, unquote. A new chapter. So since implementing the strategies of the anxiety antidote, as I'm calling it now, I wasn't calling it that when I started actively trying to resolve this thing. This is just what I've called it for this episode. But since since implementing these strategies, the transformation of my life and work has been significant. And the most remarkable change has been the regained sense of control over my work and my personal life. Knowing that I have reliable tools at my disposal to manage stress has allowed me to approach each day with confidence rather than apprehension. And with decreased stress levels, there's a renewed passion for innovation and exploration in my own projects. My ideas flow more freely, and the quality of my work improves, not just meeting client expectations, but often exceeding them. I always do try and over-deliver. Moreover, building a supportive community around this new approach to freelance life has multiplied these benefits. Connecting with the other freelancers as I do throughout my week, who are on the same journey or a similar one, fosters a sense of belonging and a collective resilience. We share tips, we offer encouragement and remind each other of the importance of balance and wellness in this hyper-competitive field. And just as an aside about competitors, people working in the same role as you are, that's not always a bad thing. Communicating with them, like what happened with myself and David Goodall. David Goodall and I really were at odds for 20 plus years. I knew him, he knew me, we were never working together, and I think there was a little bit of kind of bad blood between both of us for the whole time. And then one day David phoned me up and says, I can't do Shetland. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, it's brilliant. I'll do Shetland. So I went on to Shetland. And then the next week, something came up that I couldn't do. And I phoned David, said, this job, can't do it. David went and did that job. And so from that point onwards, we were sharing jobs that we couldn't do, keeping them in the family, as it were, rather than just turning them down and not knowing where they would go. Like helping say, oh, I recommend this person, so I recommended David, he recommended me. And we recommend a few other people as well. And not only that, he was there to communicate with me. And a brilliant thing that happened, and a lot of people that we've worked for do not realise this, is that we would talk to each other really every single week, more and more. In fact, just before he passed away, we were talking to each other maybe 2-3 times a week, meeting up for coffees very regularly. But yeah, the one thing that happened, which was fantastic, is that production people would lie to us, either lie to David or lie to me, and they'd say things like, don't worry, you're my first call for anything stunty. And I would already have known, because David would have texted me, look, I was offered a job there and I've turned it down, you're going to get a call about it. And I'd know that they'd gone to him first. I wasn't the first port of call. And exactly the same thing would happen in reverse. I would have something offered to me, I would, and then he would get communicated with about it, and then I'd say, oh yeah, I meant to tell you about that. Yeah, that was coming, I couldn't make it. And he's like, well, they told me that I was the first person. And I even ended up on a job one time where it turned out he had been the fight coordinator on like 3 or 4 days of it, and I came in to do this one thing, and they were talking to me like I was the only one. And then when I spoke to him, he's like, oh yeah, I've been doing that for months. Just like this strange thing. But anyway, that's the good thing about communicating, even with competitors. Not all competitors are like that, though. Some of them are extremely aggressive, so be careful. I think you have to take a long time to get to know if a competitor is lying about you, and that definitely is in play for a lot of people that I know. Not an awful lot, but enough. Or if they're genuinely on your side. But it's an easy one to spot because you can catch them out in their lies. But anyway, that was an aside there. Just getting back to the script, as it were, this isn't just about surviving as a freelancer, it's about thriving with newfound vigour and enthusiasm. The transformation goes beyond just professional success. It enhances personal happiness and overall quality of life. That is what the Anxiety Antidote will do for you. Worrying is carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength, carrying 2 days at once. It's moving into tomorrow ahead of time. Worrying doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow. It empties today of its strength. Corrie ten Boom, unquote. Take the first steps towards a stress-free freelance life. It's time to take the first steps towards a more fulfilling and less stressful freelance world. Take these 3 strategies that I've raised here. 1. Setting clear work-life boundaries. 2. Schedule regular check-ins with friends and fellow freelancers. 3. Adopt mindfulness techniques and take physical exercise. And consciously begin to integrate them into your life and work. Don't keep this to yourself either. Please share this episode with fellow freelancers who might also be struggling with anxiety and stress. Help them discover how they can counter the stress and anxiety brought on by the freelancer fear. Thanks for tuning in again and sharing your valuable time with me here today. I do hope that you have found something in this episode that's of interest, and I look forward to sharing more productivity advice with you next time. I think next week's episode is called The Work That You Are Avoiding, and it's another pretty important one. In fact, I'd rate this next week's episode right in the top 10 of important things you should be considering in productivity and terms and success terms. And if you want to stay updated with more insights, strategies, and stories like this, please be sure to subscribe to the show on any podcast app at all. And there's also a YouTube channel as well if you prefer to listen there. And if you have the want to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts too, I'd be very grateful. Getting this show out there is often an anxiety-inducing endeavour, and reviews make all the difference. In the meantime, though, I'll continue to explore ways to enhance your freelance career and personal well-being in future episodes. Remember, change begins with a single step. Together, we can redefine what it means to be a successful freelancer in today's challenging world. I'll end this show with a quote from Shanti Diva, who said, "If the problem can be solved, why worry? If the problem cannot be solved, worrying will do you no good." Now take control of your own destiny. Keep on shooting, and join me next time for Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehumitsu, and the executive producer for this season is Janet L. Butler, and all her links are in the show notes. Please check it out. Janet's incredibly supportive. You can follow the official accounts on Twitter at FilmProPodPod or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity, or check out all of the episodes and everything I've got on the official website, FilmProProductivity.com. Please continue to support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.